Welcome back to CivilNet. I'm your host, Patrick Elliott. I'm joined today by Hazem Galal, the global leader at PwC for smart cities. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us, first of all, what drew you to an event like this in Armenia?
It's actually, my first time in Armenia, and I have to be very honest. The main reason why I'm here is because I have a very dear Armenian friend, part of the Armenian diaspora, who was living in the Bay Area. And we used to work together 30 years ago over there. And he was in Dubai for a conference. And then, he invited me to this conference. And here I am a few weeks later.
It's fun, huh? You hop on a flight and 3 hours later, you're in Armenia.
Yeah, well, as part of my global role, I'm, usually speaking at one global conference on average on a monthly basis. So I think this month is Armenia's month.
So tell us about your projects with smart cities and AI in particular.
So we've been working in the smart cities domain for over 10 years now, before it became really fashionable. We have started to work in smart cities in areas that most cities start with, which are security and mobility. And we have done projects in Europe, we've done projects in Asia, we've done projects in the US, and of course in the Middle East where I'm based, and many other parts of the world. With respect to AI, it has been really one of those transformative technologies, and it has led right now, together with several other enabling technologies, to what we are calling cognitive cities, which is a step beyond smart cities.
Isn't there like a fear of AI making mistakes or AI being a little bit too omniscient? If you're cognitive cities, it evokes some pretty strong emotions, right?
Right. Let me first explain, at least in our point of view, what's the difference between a traditional smart city and a cognitive city. And it is the aspect of being very citizen-centric and being predictive. In a cognitive city, you start anticipating and predicting what services would the citizen, the visitor, or the business in a specific city would want, and you proactively offer these services rather than in a reactive way. Now, obviously, AI has a lot of ethical considerations, but so do other, basic considerations when it comes to even how do I handle your data, within a smart cities or a cognitive city program in terms of, we have in Europe GDPR and privacy and all of these other sort of standards and regulations that we have to abide with to make sure that your privacy is protected. Now, obviously with AI, there are so many other ethical issues in terms of who writes the algorithm, who actually sets the rules within the AI. And of course, regulation needs to catch up and be at the leading edge of innovation. But unfortunately, in many cases, regulation has always lacked innovation. And technologies like AI would definitely require very strong and balanced regulation to make sure that we don't get into gray areas that we can regret later on.
And finally, how do you see some areas for Armenia to adopt some of these technologies, smart cities and AI? What are some of the processes that can really benefit Armenia?
Well, with the caveat that I've only been in the country for less than 2 hours, and it's my first time here, at least based on what I've heard and my observations, it seems like that mobility and traffic safety is an issue here. And of course, as I mentioned before, typically a lot of cities would start with mobility and safety when they're thinking about smart or cognitive cities. So I would definitely recommend, all of the different tools that we have, mobility as a service, ITS, all of these areas, even digital twins, where you are able to simulate how the city operates, how the mobility operates under different scenarios. And then through mobility as a service, you start giving the users options, combination of public transport, micromobility, shared cars, and of course, electric cars will play a very important role with respect to the environment, if that's a problem here. But it is an integrated ecosystem, and you have to look at it in a holistic way with the regulators, the traffic authorities, the private sector providers, and of course the investors to make sure that you solve some of these issues.
Hazem Galal, you've earned yourself a coffee. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thanks again for watching CivilNet.